Aromie here. Welcome back to Tailor Tales. We're here about to enter chapter 19 for James. He doesn't have that much chapters left, and we have yet to still fall in love. Kind of worrisome here. This is not the turn of events I had expected. Sitting in my parents' cabin, being scolded by a very rich man surrounded by aliens. You should be thankful we were able to scrub out the other video someone uploaded, which had the two extraterrestrials in clear view, Neil says with a certain sigh. You can't get rid of the other video, I asked hopefully. Right matches Neil's heavy sigh. It's been reposted hundreds of times on a lot of mirror websites. There's no way we can do anything about it now. It's all on the internet forever. I just want to bury myself in a hole and die. I can't believe I let myself get caught like that. I've been careful my entire life. You haven't even been back for a full week, and yet you're already out there, face plastered on every social device. Neil reprimands me. How do you do it? To make such a colossal mistake. You're supposed to keep a low profile, not start a campaign under Super Mall Girl. He starts to rant. Well, first off, that name is ridiculous, and second of all, I didn't mean to get caught. I explain myself. You use your powers in public without anything to hide your identity behind, Neil stresses. Now we're forced to have you under house arrest too. What? I shriek, house arrest? We can't have you out in public. We'll have to wait until this blows over or until the next interesting development happens. It's too risky for you to be recognized. So you're saying I'm stuck here. I can't even go to my boutique. Neil nods, that is correct. You can't keep her locked here forever, you know, warns Rai. Neil rubs his temple. Look, we're all trying to minimize the consequences. It's best if Miss Melody remains out of the public eye until the video has been forgotten about. Imagine if Miss Melody had paparazzi following her. Then what? They'd find the lake, the cabin, and the two very secret extraterrestrials that were hiding. He shakes his head. No, we can't let that happen. I understand. I don't like it, but I get his grievances. Reporters following me around and finding out where the cabin is located is a very real possibility. I can't believe I returned to Earth only to be locked up again, I mumble darkly. Ray furrows his eyebrows at that, contemplating what I've said. She can at least go out to the store, right? He asks. No, Neil says steadfastly. Oh, come on. She needs to eat and drink too, you know, Ray argues. For the time being, it will be your job to take care of your sister so that she doesn't have to leave the premises. He stares at me, eyes narrowing. That includes the extraterrestrials. It's too dangerous to move them around. They must be kept here at all times as well. Great, I guess I screwed it up for everyone. So much for getting Eoka a glamour so he could hide in plain sight. Now he's not even allowed to leave the lake. Do you understand, Miss Melody? He asked in a loud voice. I begrudgingly nod. Fine, I admit I won't go out in public for a while. There's a look of satisfaction on Neil's face. I believe you should remain out of public until we have to deal with the upcoming invasion. No one will care about Super Mall Girl by then. He wants me to remain inside for 2 months. I groan loudly in despair. Why is my girl upset? I mean, I know she's been captured before, and like, even then, you know, you should be happy we're back on Earth, yeah? If I was back on Earth 2 months, fuck it. I'm staying in here. You could read a book or something. I don't know. I guess she doesn't want to, though, because she wants to explore and everything. Neil fixes his jacket and straightens his back. Now, Mr. Melody, please do check your email. My engineers are awaiting your answer to a problem they encountered with your bracelet. I've been kind of busy here, Ryan mumbles, but I'll answer today. Very well, I believe we have discussed everything. Neil turns to me. I don't want to hear any more trouble coming from you. I have the strong urge to stick out my tongue to him, not actively being troublesome. Have a good day. He bids us goodbye and finally leaves the cabin. Rai sighs loudly as he crashes on the couch. I can't believe now you're stuck here too. Back on you, I couldn't leave the palace. Now here I'm under house arrest as well. James finally opens his mouth, having been quiet this entire time listening in on us. I forgot we got him a new outfit. Looks nice. You barely follow the rules in the palace. I doubt you'll follow the rules here either, he states his point. Nothing seems to stop you from growing out, he finishes. No, they can't force me to stay inside, but I'd be foolish if I didn't. Didn't seem to stop you last time, James points out, squinting his eyes at me. I mean, if it weren't for the rebels, I probably would have gotten away with it, I grumble. The first time you go out and you're caught, not the best track record, Yoke adds. Hey, you're the one I ran into. Yoke grins widely. I have a lot of experience going undercover. Rai warms himself into the conversation. Okay, I've had it up to here with your alien language. If you refuse to speak English, then at least let me take a look at your translator. Rai approaches Eok, a screwdriver ready in his hand. Me? Eok's eyes grow large. You said it was your ear, right? If I can study it, I can reverse engineer it, no problem. Right, can you please not experiment on my friend? I asked exasperately. Can you go back trying to open that door? I can multitask, he answers. If that little runt can understand our technology, I will be very impressed, says James, with a sly voice, like he obviously doesn't believe Rai is intelligent enough to figure out his tech. I don't know what he said, but I don't like the look of it on his smug face, Rai grumbles, glaring at James. You know what? Go ahead, Eok. Please go with my brother. Maybe he'll figure something out. Eok looks hesitant, but doesn't question my command. Alright, I help out, he answers Rai. Great, follow me. Rai quickly escorts Eok towards his room, which is his temporary office. That leaves me and James in the same room together. Earth is a very backwards place if you can't even catch a common thief without repercussions, says James in a dismissive tone. It's a little more complicated than that, I reply. He's not wrong though. The fact I try to stop a thief from taking my own money and I'm the one that has to lay low doesn't seem fair at all. It was nice seeing you and Eok work together though, I say with a small smile. Despite the animosity between them, James was quick to command Eok to catch the thief. Almost bashfully, James turns his head away from me. That's because he's a trained soldier. He will do what I command of him. But I thought you said, sir, that he is no longer a subordinate of yours or whatever. Well, it was still nice to see you work together. Thank you for catching the thief, I say, feeling grateful they stepped in. A small stretch of silence sweeps between us, and James moves, getting ready to speak. I did notice your reflexes seem to have improved since the last time you were met with a sharp weapon. There's a smirk on his lips, which kind of irritates me. It sounds like you're impressed. James cocks an eyebrow at me, merely stating the difference. You can just admit I dodged that like a pro, I say, a sly smile appearing on my lips. Pro, James repeats in an odd accent. Short for professional. Basically, I'm saying I dodged like an expert. I wouldn't say that maneuver of yours was done expertly at all, he huffs. Yeah, all I'm hearing is that you're impressed. I continue to stress my point with an ever-growing grin. He lets out an indignant puff of air, glaring at me as if he's perfected it like an art form. No, I was not, he argues back. Thanks for the compliment. Did you not hear what I said? He raises his voice. Loud and clear, you're impressed. I'm having fun messing with him. I need to do something with my house arrest that time after all. James turns on his heel and stomps towards the front door. Where are you going? I ask, a little sad he doesn't want to bicker anymore. To train. He swiftly disappears and slams the door shut. So he was impressed by my actions. Did we even get him like athletic wear for his training? Please don't screw it up, I warn Rai. Rai dangles in front of me with a pair of scissors, staring at my forehead with the utmost concentration. Oh my god, are you cutting my hair? I wouldn't dare. You know my fingers can do extraordinary feats, he boasts. Yes, with technology, not with hair, I stress. Don't you worry about a thing. I just need to snip a bit here. He takes a cut of my hair, and here, another snip, and there we go. I blow air at my new bangs to remove them from my eyes. Give me the mirror. Rai hands to a small mirror and I grab it with greedy hands. I need to know if it looks good. I see myself reflected. My once uneven do-it-yourself haircut now looks like a straight bob with cute bangs. Ew, bob? I cried my eyeballs out when I had a bob when I was a young kid. Because my mom wanted my hair short, but my dad wanted my hair long. But obviously my mom wins every time. And she won. And I had a bob. I don't have a picture of me with it, but I mean, I still looked adorable, but still, ew. They don't look out of place at all. I smile up at Rai and squeal. It looks cute. Rai suavely rubs his chin, eyes closed. Did you ever doubt my skills? He says arrogantly. All the time, I reply with a laugh. Hey now, I'm doing this for free, you know. Well, that's because I can't go to town to get a haircut anymore, I complain. It's already been 2 days since the Supermodel girl incident, and I'm slowly losing my mind having to stay inside. Eok, so adorable. Back in his normal form, too. Eok enters the kitchen looking like his usual self again after removing the glamour. He seems happier like this. Hey, Eok, look, I say excitedly. Eok, eyes wide and large, starts looking around the room. What is it, he asks. I point at my hair, a little disappointed he didn't notice it straight away. My hair, I say. Yes, hairy. Right first out laughing, earning a glare on my end. Dude, you're supposed to compliment her new hairstyle. You looks distraught. Goat don't have hair. It's a foreign concept to me. I pat him, but forgive him as well. It's alright, I reassure him. So what is dude? he asks a bit awkwardly. Rice starts explaining what dude means to Eeyok. He's already managed to reverse engineer the Bible fish and created his own. He can now follow along with our conversation. Sometimes I wonder why I didn't inherit any of his brain powers. Oh, so he can hear everything now. I push the newly acquired hairband in my hair and look in the mirror once more. It's cute. I look a bit younger like this. I wonder why longer hair makes you seem more mature. Does it? I guess, in a way. As I look around the room, I start wondering if James is still outside, training, like he's been doing every single day. Eeyok, you were training with James, right? I ask. Yes, Prince James wants the both of us on a strict training regimen. It's interesting how, despite him thinking you betrayed him, he's still training you. Eeyok smiles. Perhaps he doesn't dislike me as much as he says he does. He's not very honest, is he? I say with a giggle. Not honest, Fry repeats with an indignant scoff. That man has brutal honesty written all over his face. People who say they're brutally honest are people who tend to hide their feelings, I explain. I don't think he's even capable of feelings, Fry remarks. I direct my gaze towards the windows of the cabin, seeing a shimmer of James' shadow move back and forth. Not capable of feelings wouldn't be correct, not with what I've seen so far anyway. You know, both of you should take a break. Let me make you some lunch, I say.
Oh.
Eeyok perks up. Oh, can I have another Zanzwas? Sandwich? Sandwich, I correct him, and yes, of course. Ever since arriving on Earth, Eeyok's been pretty happy trying out all the different kinds of food available to him. He seems to be very fond of ham and cheese sandwiches. I started preparing their lunch. I step outside holding a plate with a sandwich and a cup of hot chocolate. It's a little warm to be drinking hot chocolate, but I wanted to see if James would enjoy such a beverage. James, I brought you lunch, I call out to the boy. He's been training in between the trees, and despite wearing that bracelet, he still seems to possess superhuman speed. It's hard to keep track of him. Oh, you look nice in your outfit. Okay. He suddenly appears in front of me, nearly startling me off my balance and spilling some of the hot chocolate onto the grass. What is it? He says in a deadpan tone. Don't just appear in front of me like that, I grumble. I almost dropped your food. You've brought me provisions, his tone improves. Yes, I figured you should take a break from all this training you're doing. Whether I take a break is not up to you, he says, almost offended I would dare interrupt his training. Do you want the food or not? I say with a sigh. James wordlessly takes the sandwich from the plate and turns around, ignoring the cup of hot chocolate. I gasp in surprise when I see his back. James! He tilts his head to look over his shoulder, his mouth already stuffed with the sandwich. You ripped your pants, I cry out in annoyance. There's a huge gap in between the seams on his butt. It's like a giant fart blew a hole through his pants. James huffs as he tears off a piece of his sandwich, facing me once more. I already told you this garbage is sufficient enough for training. You can't blame me for the flimsy material I'm holding up. I try to control my own temper. Those were cargo pants meant for a lot of movement. It's been 2 days and he's already ruined them. Did he do constant splits or something to rip them like this? I don't even know. I can fix it though, but he can't use them anymore during training. Otherwise the same thing will happen again. Fine, I say begrudgingly. I'll make you something myself. Training garments, he asks. A super suit you can use to fight in. Like I said, it's my specialty. I just need to get materials from my boutique. I start sketching out several ideas in my head about the kind of outfit I should design him, and that I should get Rye or Kim to pick up some fabric from my store, since I can't leave myself. I'll need to measure you later on, I tell him. Would black be a good choice? Perhaps I should incorporate some static resistance fabric, since he seems to be weak to electricity. I would also need to take into account that he can fly, so the design would have to be streamlined for aviation. Oh wait, I forgot, he can't fly at the moment. You have that look in your eyes again, says James, disturbing me from my thoughts. What look? The same look you had right before disobeying orders, as if you're planning something. Is there something wrong with the way I look? I raise my eyebrows at him. James munches on a piece of sandwich before swallowing to reveal a smirk. It's a look of excitement at being challenged. I know it all too well. I really can't tell if he's making fun of me or if he's, I don't know, slightly impressed. James then notices the cup in my hands. Is that water, he asks. No, it's hot chocolate. Please be careful, it's hot, I tell him and offer the cup. It's a tea, and as he sniffs the contents. Not exactly, it's a sweet beverage served hot. Sweet, you say, he repeats, sounding a little forlorn. Eyeing the cup with a suspicious look, James finally takes a sip. I can see his Adam apple bob up and down as he swallows, which makes me think how alike our bodies are. I expect James to savor the taste after a single sip, but he downs the entire cup in one go. Really enthralled, I can't help but stare at him. Did he like it? Was it good, I ask. He returns the empty cup to me as if I'm some kind of servant. You can bring me more of these hot chocolates, he states. I sigh internally. What kind of way is that to ask for another cup? I would if you asked me nicely. I bring up the notion, and it's pronounced chocolate. Are you unsatisfied with my way of speaking? He asked, sounding almost legitimately offended. It sounds more like you're commanding rather than asking. He's never actually asked for anything respectfully. It's always been a command, just like how he bosses the yoke around. I'm not someone under your command, you know. I point out the issue. Clearly with the way you have never obeyed my orders, he snorts in agreement. Exactly. Orders, I stress. You can ask me things, but don't presume that I'll take any orders from you. I'm here to help, not obey. You're not helping by being difficult. All I want is for you to treat me respectfully, not like another one of your soldiers that you can command, that is all. Respect goes both ways, Earthling, he finally says after a long pause. For sure, you won't be receiving mine for as long as you refuse to call me by my name, I have. I'm not here to socialize or mingle with Earthlings. I'm going to train to prepare for Lord Veritas' arrival. Well, believe it or not, we are all we've got. So you better accept us Earthlings are your only help and treat us with some respect. Or what, he urges me on. Just ask me for another cup next time, okay? I don't want to argue about this anymore. I take the cup and plate with me as I turn around and head back inside the cabin. Sprawled across the couch with my phone in my hands, I scroll through the various comments. You would think that after a few days the hype around my little slip-up would die down, except all the social media I've been browsing online. I'm everywhere. I can't blame Forrester Inc. for not being able to scrub the video. It's impossible. At this point I've been turned into various memes. The worst part is reading all the hate comments too, the normies that hate supers, Julio supporters in a sense. I feel like such activity has increased since I've been away. Stop looking at that crap, your brain will fall out, says Rai as he pulls my phone out with my hands. Hey, I was reading that, I complain weakly. Yes, and it was making you nearly burn a hole through your screen for glaring at it. You can't blame me for checking, I say. You should not only be under house arrest, but also social media arrest. Stop looking it up. But what else do I have to do? I whine. Nothing. My fabric isn't even here, so I can't make any clues either. Kim's coming over to drop by some of your stuff. You can survive another day, says Rai as he narrows his eyes at me, almost disappointed in the way I'm behaving. I pout at him and then nudge my foot against his leg. Can't you tell me you went crazy, by the way? He's lying, obviously. I've always been a nutcase. I giggle. I mean, when I was taken, he said you barely slept. Oh, a grim expression washes over his face. He takes in a heavy breath. I'm just glad you're back. He shoots me a small smile. Yeah, I nod at him. Same. If you have nothing else to do, you can help me with that door, he suggests with a grin. I give it a rest. It's just some smelly basement anyway. Probably has got mold growing as well. Never give up, never surrender, he exclaims loudly. Yoke suddenly enters the house. Well, hey, Yoke, I greet him. Are you both finished with training? You hungry? Yes, definitely hungry, he says in agreement. I guess training works up quite an appetite. They've been going at it since this morning. Where's James? I asked, noticing Yoke came alone. He went to train near the lake on his own, he mentions. He shivers and shakes his head. I don't like large bodies of water, so I stayed near the house. I haven't seen him since. Brad and I look at each other. Did James? Nah, he could have gone far. The alarms would have set off. Remember, he's being tracked, says Brad quickly with a huff of air. Right, then where is he? I asked, looking outside the window. It's already dark, but I can still see just fine. However, when I scan the lake, I don't see any sign of James. As I pull out my phone, I launch the app for the tracker to see where he is. A map of our surroundings appears on my screen with 3 dots. One of them being me, Yoke's next to me, another dot all the way near the edge of the forest. He's nearly at the edge of the perimeters, I say, sounding alarmed. What's he doing there? Well, maybe he's lost. It is dark outside and James isn't familiar with the place yet, not to mention he can't fly. I'm going to get him, okay? Then we can all eat dinner. Without waiting for a response, I leave the cabin. Homeboy is probably lost because he has no navigational skills as captain. He should be straight ahead according to the map. This app. The GPS isn't entirely accurate though, so I have to use my own eyes to find him. I tuck my phone away. I step through the grass, peering through the trees to spot a certain man. My eye catches his shimmer. It's the shine of his jet black hair reflecting in the moonlight. He's looking around, eyes focused. Before I can announce myself, James has suddenly appeared in front of me and pushed me up against a tree. Hey, what's the deal? I complained, suddenly aware how his body's pressed against mine. He's not hurting me though. James removes himself from me and steps away. You're sneaking up on me, he says. You should have announced yourself. I was about to until you shoved me against this tree. Better safe than sorry. What would you have done if it wasn't me, huh? You know you can't hurt humans, I point out. One slip up and he can kill the both of us. I didn't hurt you now, did I? He fires back. No, I admit begrudgingly. He did scare me, though. What are you doing out here anyway? Asked, changing the subject. Training, he replies nonchalantly. This far out, I question. I was exploring. You couldn't find your way back to the cabin, could you? I ask it in this dull tone. James turns defensive, crossing his arm over his naked chest and huffing loudly at me. I do not get lost. Okay. I am perfectly capable of locating the house, he says crossly. Uh-huh, I hum dryly, not believing a word he says. Can you point in the direction of the house then? A cricket chirps in the background. James doesn't make a move. I only see his eyebrows furrow more and more. He then points directly at me. It's in that direction. I tilt my head to the side as I bite back my smug grin. You're just pointing in that direction because you think that's where I came from, aren't you? Well, am I right or not? He urges me, sounding impatient. I point to my right instead. It's actually over there. James clicks his tongue. I came to pick you up. It's really late. Let's go have dinner. I smile at him as I start to move. Come on, follow me, and don't get lost. I do not get lost, he hisses. I chuckle in response as he obediently follows me. It would be unbefitting of me as a captain and as a prince to have lost my way, he speaks. Actually, I start looking over at him. It would make you pretty human. I'm a Rahu, not an earthling like you. Don't compare us. How can I not? We do seem similar, you know. Have you met many species that look like me? Aside from Hilaribilius' race, I have not come across many species that resemble earthlings, he answers me. I drag my feet through the slightly damp grass, slowing my pace so that I can walk next to James. What about your own race? Are there others like you out there? He's quiet again, not answering as the sound of rustling grass fills my ears. Then I suddenly remember when he said to me on the ship before, his home planet does not exist anymore. A sense of dread washes over me. I didn't mean to sound insensitive. I was genuinely very curious. I'm about to apologize when James speaks up first. As far as I know, my siblings and I are the only survivors. It's an interesting choice of words. Survivors. You're the last of your kind, I ask. That is why I must protect Lena, he says, determined in his plans. You know, I think I can understand the way you feel, I say, thinking out loud here. And I don't mean the bit about being the only ones left. I can't possibly imagine what that's like, but the desire to protect your siblings, I get it. It seems when you took me from Earth, my brother Rai did everything he could to get me back. He didn't quite build a spaceship, but he was the one that invented the machine that launched a missile attack at your ship. James looks a little surprised. He also made that bracelet on you, by the way, too. Give him credit for that. Are you saying your own brother willingly shot at you? No, he's just the person that invented it. Apparently it was Neil Forrester that gave the command. You know, the man with the slick purple hair. Good to know who was responsible for blowing a hole in my quarters. I admit I would like to slap him for that. Trust me, I haven't forgiven him for that either. Haven't forgiven him for that. James cocks his head to the side, a devious smirk pulling out on his lips. We could always remind him of his deeds. I raise my eyebrows and brush off his suggestion. No way! Come on, you can't hurt him. I know he tried to kill us, but he didn't know I was on the ship. I can't blame him for that. I'm just glad we survived that blast at all. It is quite impressive that you remain calm enough to survey the situation and react in a timely manner, given the circumstances. My mouth drops open as I unabashedly stare at James. Was that a compliment? I asked incredulously. I suppose it can be taken as one. I'm temporarily speechless. I'm having a civilized conversation with James, who's been nothing but a stubborn, oversized brat all this time. Not that I haven't been fanning the flames as well, but I didn't expect this level of politeness. I wasn't really thinking, I say, suddenly feeling flustered. I just reacted. And that is a very good skill to have. Sometimes it's better to act first than to think. Every second counts. I passed out on the end though. I don't know what happened afterwards. Once I got a hold of the exterior of the ship, I quickly found us an exit that wasn't destroyed. It brought us inside. I guess we both saved each other out there. If it weren't for me, we'd still be spinning around in space, but for James, we would have died either way if he didn't get us inside. Thank you, I speak up. James raises an eyebrow. I realize I haven't properly thanked you for saving my life. He shakes his head in response. You're very peculiar, thanking the one who took you from your own home and had every intention of using you as a pawn in negotiations. These were different circumstances, I point out. Just take my thanks, alright? As you wish. His feet stopped dead in their tracks, and I turned around to see him standing underneath the moonlight, staring up at the sky. Only one moon, he muses out loud. Maybe he misses Yule. I wonder. It has 2 moons. Do you miss it? I ask him. No, he says. My home planet only had 1 moon as well. I see. We both gaze up at the moon for a while, not saying anything. It feels serene, almost comfortable. Then his brown eyes lock with mine. I think I would like a chocolates. My lips curl to a smile. I like to point out it wasn't so hard to ask, but instead I nod at him. Sure, I'll make you a cup of hot chocolate. I start walking again in the direction of the cabin. James follows suit. Did you like it? I asked, remembering that he seemed to down the entire cup in one go. It has an earthy but sweet taste, he explains. Yule doesn't have anything sweet. Goat don't even have the capacity for tasting it. Actually, I don't remember tasting anything sweet either, I say, remembering mostly savory flavors. Yolk didn't seem very overjoyed at the cup of hot chocolate either. I guess it's because he couldn't taste the sweetness and only the bitterness. I was definitely craving some hot chocolate back on Yule, I admit. There's a relaxed expression on Jane's face. It has been a while since I could taste anything sweet. I had nearly forgotten what it was like. We have a bunch of sweet food and drinks here on Earth, I say excitedly. Chocolate is very popular, but we also have candy, which is pretty much hardened sugar most of the time. Sugar? Sugar? James repeats. Sugar! Ah! I correct him. It's an ingredient we use to make things sweet. Sometimes people eat it plain as well. There was this plant on my planet, he starts. When it would blossom, it would shed its sweet petals. That's what we use in our dishes. It's actually very interesting to hear about his planet. It sounds a lot different from Yule. What was your planet called, I ask. We are the royal family of the planet Vantis, says James, a hint of a smile on his lips. Lena was going to be the next queen. I nod in agreement. I see. Well, she's the eldest after all. That behavior of yours, he suddenly mentions. What behavior? James nods his head. That. You have been doing it more frequently since your return. I guess I have been. Now that I'm back among people again, it's hard to ignore my own body language. As I've told you before, it's how us humans communicate with our body that we're saying yes, or are in agreement with something. James suddenly takes a bow in front of me, eyes locked on mine every step of the way. That is how we are taught to respectfully say yes. He strains his back. I suppose your way is more shorthanded and informal version. Huh, I guess you could say that. I have counted many times that the people of Yule bowed in front of others. Our conversation lows to a stop again, but it isn't an awkward silence this time around. It feels nice that we got to have a conversation like 2 civilized adults. I learned a little bit more about James and where he's from, and that he apparently has a sweet tooth. I start thinking of all the candy I would like him to try out. A faint shimmer of light catches my attention. We're nearly at the cabin. Look, we're almost there, I say, sounding excited. It's almost like I'm looking forward to having dinner with everyone and making James a cup of hot chocolate. The fuck is that? I'm not paying attention to what's beneath me and accidentally stumble over an exposed roof. James is there in an instant, his chest pressed up against my back and his hand curled around my waist to stabilize me. Careful, he whispers near my ear. That heartbeat is interesting. I'm suddenly feeling very self-conscious in this position. I'm hyper aware of his heartbeat and the way he gently holds my wrist. It's like he's learned to control his brute strength around me, knowing just enough to catch me without actually hurting me this time around. I can't even spit out a word of thanks, my breath is caught in my throat. James releases his grip on me, taking a step back. The hum of his heartbeat fades away. You've cut your hair, he says. Subconsciously, I immediately start fanning my fingers through my hair as I feel myself grow a bit nervous. Why is he suddenly being so observant? Even Eeyore didn't notice. It's catching me off guard. Yes, I say slowly. My brother cut it. I clear my throat. Perhaps he can cut yours too. James narrows his eyes at me. I'm still not trusting anyone to get near me with a blade, he huffs stubbornly. I sigh as he walks past me, towards the cabin that's finally in range. Don't worry, James. I'm going to cut the hair of yours one way or another. Maybe bribe him with some sugar. No! Leave his hair alone! It's fine. It's here! Kim dropped all of my stuff in boxes the next day. Now I can actually make a super suit for James. Can you please move all this stuff to your room? It's a chaotic mess in here. Ryan complains as he walks around the various boxes. I will, I promise him. You just focus on whatever it is you're doing with that basement door. I walk towards the front door and open it, sticking my head outside. James! I yell loudly. Please come inside! I close the door and start grabbing a box from the floor. Not a second later, and James walks in, brushing a hand through his unruly hair. Why are you interrupting my training session? He demands to know. I need your help carrying this stuff to my room, and I will need to take your measurements as well. James narrows his eyes at the boxes on the floor. This couldn't wait? Is it really such a pressing matter? Look, the sooner we get this done, the sooner you actually have pants and don't rip every time you try to kick, alright? James doesn't seem like he's going to argue with me on that one. The pants he's wearing has already been stretched and torn to its limits. Pick up a box and carry it to my room, please, I ask of him as I head towards my room. James easily stacks a bunch of boxes on top of each other and hoists them onto his shoulder. I clean my desk to make way for the box of materials. Just put them on the floor, thanks, I say, seeing James walks in with 4 boxes. Actually, I think he pretty much carried all of them to my room. There weren't that many boxes. I start rummaging through the boxes. Kim managed to pack all of my tools and most of my favorite fabrics. Lying awake at night, I couldn't help but brainstorm about his super suit. Of course, he's not a superhero or anything, but a suit is a suit. I think I want to incorporate some of the intricate tribal markings he gets on his skin when he phases. It's then I realize James has been staring at me all this time. You've got that look again, he notes. I smile at him. Sorry, I got lost in my head. I'm actually excited to do this. To make my armor. A super suit, yes. It has to allow for freedom of movement, he states. I'm taking that into account, of course. Are there any specific requests you'd like? Such as? Well, some clients requested built-in support for their breasts or a reinforced crotch area, I start to list off. James looks slightly horrified at the idea. As long as it doesn't weigh me down, doesn't tear when used a lot, it should be good. You don't want anything reinforced, extra padding, anti-electricity. His eyes turn into thin slits as I mentioned the last feature. I sketched out some designs last night. Do any of these catch your attention? I take my sketchbook and flip through it to find the sketches. James takes it from my hands and studies the pages with genuine interest. I feel slightly nervous. I always do whenever I show someone my work. He then flips the sketchbook over and taps his finger against one of the designs. This one, he says, pointing at a black and white suit with blue markings. You got it wrong. I say, confused. There are 2 wings on each side with 3 dots beneath. He's referring to me trying to recreate his markings in the sketch. Oh, I was trying to do it from memory, I say sheepishly. I take a pencil from my desk and offer it to him. You can correct it if you want. He takes a second to think it over before taking the pencil from my hand and putting it to the paper. I anxiously await in anticipation as James makes a few minor corrections on my designs. It's always weird when someone messes around with my designs. I'm slightly touched that he's taking it seriously. Here, he says, handing back my sketchbook. I look over the corrections he did on the design. There are now more intricate scribbles on the suit, reflecting his own markings. There are also a few extra lines near his legs and shoulders. I guess this is how he wants it. Do you want it like this? I asked, making sure. It seems suitable enough. Alright, time to take your measurements then. I stand in front of him and move a few boxes out of the way to make some space. Every time they do this, I get so scared that he's completely naked, but he has his boxers on. I'm surprised when James takes off his shirt and rids himself of his pants. He didn't need to, but I guess that's out of the way now. Can you please spread your arm like this? I spread my arm away from my body. James mimics me, watching me very intensely as I get closer to him and press the tape against his shoulder, pulling it all the way over to his wrist. I note down the numbers on my little notepad, then I quickly get the width of his shoulders done as well. Excuse me. To be extra careful, I measure his biceps as well, because Lord knows how big those things are. I throw the tape around him and tie it around his chest, not too tight and not too loose. For some reason, my eyes stare at his large scar spanning across the right side of his chest. It seems old, which makes sense considering he must have gotten this when he was a child. It feels inappropriate to ask him where he got it from. Ah, there it is, the rhythm, the melody. I can hear it again. Each time I hear it, it becomes more pleasant, steady, and familiar. Is there something the matter? James asks, noticing I've been lingering at his chest. Awkwardly, I look away, feeling embarrassed at being caught listening to his heart. No. I quickly release the tape around his chest and quickly note down the measurements. He's definitely got a well-defined body. I've had some pretty muscular clients before, but James' thickness has no rivals, that's for sure. I crouch down to measure his waist, to try my best to stay professional, but the skin-on-skin contact with him is making me all jittery. Oh wait, didn't he have markings near his belly button as well? I wonder how far down it goes. My eyes travel to his crotch. Would it have him there? Do you need to measure my genitals as well? He asks in this deafened voice. Why? Are you offering? No, not at all. We are going to go with... I drink water. This is my throat. Are you offering? I look up at him, my expression serious as I do not want to fall from his gloating. It's James who breaks our gaze as he tilts his head to the side. Shouldn't those be my words? You're the one that has attempted to seduce me many times, he says. I huff loudly and stand up straight, lifting up the tape so that it slides across his back, all the way to his shoulders, eventually resting on his neck. I yank down, forcing him to face me at eye level. His brown eyes blink at our close proximity. If I were seducing you, then you'd definitely know, I say in this sultry tone. I lean closer, our faces side to side, so I can whisper in his ear. Or is it really you who's trying to seduce me? I'm not purring. I don't know how to do that. Oh my god, he's blushing! James straightens his back in a jiffy, snapping upright like a rigid stick. He creates some distance between us, and before his black hair falls and covers his pointy ears, I notice a tinge with red. So he can blush, that bastard. Just get back to measuring, he says gruffly. Feeling smug that his little comment backfired on him, I finally get the measurements of his waist. I try to do the rest on autopilot. It's hard to not to get distracted though. The more I measure him, the more I realize how different he's been from everyone else. But he's also extremely similar to the human race, aside from his ears and sharp canines. I would say we're pretty identical. When I finally got everything noted, I put away my measuring tape. Alright, I'm finished now, I announce. Is there anything else you need of me, he asks? Actually, I do have a question, I start. I'm immensely curious about the melody I keep hearing whenever I'm close to him. Does everyone of your race have the same heartbeat? I stare at his chest and subconsciously inch closer to him wanting to hear it again. He tilts his head to the side. What do you mean? Can you hit... Finally! I hear Rai shout, interrupting me and James. I walk towards my bedroom door and open it. Rai, why are you shouting? The basement! I finally got the door open, he yells triumphantly. I lean against the doorpost and smile. I guess I should go check it out. Alright. Are you telling me not everyone can hear his heartbeat? Because if so, does that mean we're special? Well, a dime. But does that mean that we're special? I wonder. But anyway, James, you have, I think, 7 more chapters left. This is a actual mega slow burn because I'm not falling in love with him yet. It's very late in the game too, so but thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.